Today on For the Record,
Good girl, down.
we visit the Pittsburgh Zoo's Conservation Center in Somerset County.
To see babies born in the herds, watch first-time mothers, first-time aunties, just watch all those natural behaviors come out is so rewarding and amazing, and it's so good for them too.
We're finding out how the elephants are building a family.
It's been the dream for such a long time. I'd be pretty emotional about it.
And the new species calling the center home.
Species is bison, bison, bison. So, easy one to remember.
For the Record starts right now. Welcome to For the Record. I'm Shannon Perrine, and we have something special for you on this Easter Sunday morning. An in-depth look inside the Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium's Conservation Center in Somerset County. Later this half hour, we will learn more about the bison that now call the Conservation Center home. But we want to start with the animal the center is best known for, the elephants.
It's been really a fantastic journey already. I've been here really just going on 3 years, but the development we've already done has been really, really exciting. It's such a special place. Yeah. So it's really wonderful to be a part of this. We've added some new animals here, such as the bison, and really with a tie-in to conservation. Because we have the space that we do out here, it really lends itself well to that.
What's the mission? I mean, you have the zoo in Pittsburgh, but this came along, 2006, and it's been sort of evolving since then. But why have this place here in the hills and mountains of Somerset County? Yeah,
well, first of all, look at it, it's just absolutely amazing, but it really lends itself well because of the space. Just really because of all the space here, there are so many things that we can do, lends itself well to programs such as a reintroduction program, maybe for an animal who needs a little more seclusion, who maybe needs a little more of a different environment.
I know that there was a loss last year, right? And that was obviously sad. How hard is it to get elephants to breed, and so that you can help that population?
Yeah, really, it's numbers. So Jackson, our bull elephant, is one of the most prolific sires for elephants under human care for African elephants. So for breeding, Jack doesn't have a problem with that, but it is, it's the females, and right now, as you mentioned, we did have a loss through EHV, which is a virus that affects especially young elephants. And that is something that we've all been contributing, those of us who work with the elephants have been contributing to research. There is a trial vaccine coming out for one of the strains, so we're getting there, but that's been a huge blow for the population, and that is one of the reasons we are having a problem with the population, is that.
Yeah, and have there been baby elephants born here, elephant calves born here, who have thrived?
Yes, actually at the zoo, Jack has 3 daughters, Victoria, Zuri, and Angeline, and they're doing great. Yeah, the 2 are 16 and 1 is 25.
And were they born here?
They were born actually at the zoo.
At the zoo?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But Jackson was part of that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, and it as far as Jackson's concerned, you said he's one of the most prolific. So other zoos across the country, he's been able to help.
He has, and that's one reason why artificial insemination has been an important part of that. It's not meant to replace natural breeding, but to enhance it, because it's easier to send samples out than to send a bull out, take them away from where they are. I should mention, though, that Jack's son, Callie, has been to some other breeding places on loan, and he's been a wonderful sire, and actually there's 5 baby elephants on the way from him, so that's amazing. So yeah, then that's Jack's line. So Jack's been doing his part for sure.
Okay. So we want to send the message to our viewers who are watching this about, really trying to protect the animal and the elephant population moving forward, and sort of how tricky it is and some of the challenges that folks like you face in making sure that we have these elephant calves that are born and are healthy and start to thrive and do well and grow into maturity. What do you want to tell Pittsburghers about your efforts here to face some of those challenges?
Yeah, I think that it is really, really important. And what the zoo does, we really do cooperate with projects in the field. So we have these elephants here. You wonder how they're helping the African elephants, but everything we learn about the elephants here, we can teach those who are managing the lands in the wild too. So we're a part of a lot of different research projects. We are able to, because they're out there being elephants, but they're also well trained to give us a blood sample if we need to, and we need to take care of them. So we do get our hands on to make sure that they're cared for. And because we can get all that data, those samples, you know, these are things that we can analyze, send to researchers, that they can help discover things about these animals that will help their wild counterparts. So we do think it is important to have them here. And also there just are fewer of them with the pressures on them in the wild.
What does it mean to you personally when you see follow an elephant calf that's born either here or at the Pittsburgh Zoo and does do well and thrive?
It's really, really amazing. And there are a lot of really good stories about that too in zoos. You know, I mentioned that the EHV has been tough and we've had a lot of losses, but we've also had a lot of really good success stories too. And it's absolutely amazing. So I've been working with elephants for over 30 years. And to see babies born in the herds, watch first-time mothers, first-time aunties, just watch all those natural behaviors come out is so rewarding and amazing. And it's so good for them too. You know, we always want to give them what we call enrichment, which is that can be items, browse, things that stimulate their natural abilities. But I always said that the best enrichment for elephants is allowing them to rear their own offspring, because it is, yeah, it's the most natural thing we can do for them. And it's amazing when you see those herds developing, especially then when they have their next round of calves. The herd is now used to babies, and it's amazing to watch the difference. And mothers have their different ways with calves, but it's funny, the first time moms may be a little more nervous. Second time they're like, okay, yeah, she's all right.
I can relate.
Really? Or let the auntie take care of her. Mom
Exactly, yeah. I think most moms can relate to that.
So it's really great. And I relate it to humans, and I know that they are elephants, they're their own thing, but they are very social, very intelligent. So that is something that I think people can relate to, which is why they're really great to educate people on the plight of African elephants in the wild.
Is that sort of it takes a village to raise a child mentality special to elephants? I know other animals have that, but is it somehow we're kind of connected to these animals?
I believe so. And yes, there are other animals. I'll speak specifically for elephants. Yeah, those family and those social bonds are really, really important. So the loss of any member is felt very, very deeply. Obviously the staff who loves them, but the herd feels it as well. Happens in the wild, but each member has their own place within the social hierarchy. So a loss of any of them is really a loss to the herd. So they feel it kind of like we do.
How well do you feel like these elephants who you work with every day express their emotions, and how well do you feel like you read their emotions?
I think I will never say that I've stopped learning, even though I've been doing this for a long time. They are always teaching me something new, and each one, although there can be generalizations if you've seen something before, but each individual has just a little bit of a take on things, just like humans. They really, really do. So that's amazing to see.
Still ahead on For the Record.
We gave her the opportunity to say goodbye to her calf, and that was an incredibly emotional day for us.
An elephant showing love and loss. How the people who care for them say these animals show human-like traits as they live out their days at the Conservation Center. Welcome back to For the Record. As we talked about in the last segment, there has been a loss suffered at the Conservation Center in Somerset County. A calf named Suni died of EEHV. It's a viral disease known to cause illness and death in young elephants. I learned more about how Suni's mother reacted to the news by speaking with one of the trainers.
So think about it like my kid at home. I don't want the first time that I take him to a doctor or anything like that is when something has gone horribly wrong. So a lot of the training that we do is to maintain that if something does go wrong, that they trust us in that situation. So if they get sick or hurt or something like that, they have to think that next to us is the most positive place in the world. And we work really hard to maintain that partnership with them. As she looks like she's taking a nap.
You tired? I feel
It's been a big day. Huh.
How old is she?
She's in her 30s.
30s. And could she still have babies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, she was an absolutely wonderful mother. That was one of the great joys of my life, was seeing her be a mom. As Jill mentioned to you before, we lost our calf to EHV, and that was a loss for us and especially for her. And like I said, you were a wonderful mom. It's true.
How did she show that to you, that grieving?
She wasn't herself for quite a few days. She looked for her a lot. We gave her the opportunity to say goodbye to her calf, and that was an incredibly emotional day for us, but I was grateful that we were able to at least give her that opportunity.
You said she learned to feed her, and it wasn't as natural as you might think, a process.
So when her calf Suni was born, she was real short, and she couldn't quite reach. But Sook's got real long model-like legs, don't you?
Supermodel.
And we were able to teach her to park out almost like a horse, and she would extend her front legs forward, that would drop her down, so that Suni was able to nurse.
And she had to kind of learn that.
Mm-hmm. As soon as she latched on, she figured it out pretty quick.
And that's part of parenting and mothering.
Mm-hmm.
And that was special for her.
Yes.
Was that the only calf she's had? She's had others?
She's only had one.
Yeah.
She was very good at it.
Is the hope that just hanging around with Jackson a little bit, there might be some natural husbandry going on here and some natural breeding?
So we have a pretty good sense of when that's going to happen. Like I said, we take blood on a very regular basis.
Okay.
We know when the hormones are fluctuating in a sense where we know that they'll be viable for becoming pregnant.
Yeah. Ovulation.
Yep. And then Jack is the biggest indicator. He knows when something's up. So
can tell.
So that is the hope. Because we want to create intact family units.
What would that mean to you if that happened here?
Oh gosh, it's been the dream for such a long time. I'd be pretty emotional about it. But no, whenever we did have a calf amongst them, it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And that happened through artificial insemination?
No, that was natural.
That was natural?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. So it did happen in here.
Yep. Whenever you use artificial insemination, it's a lot easier to send the ingredient than it is to send an 11,000 pound elephant.
I wonder why that is.
A little trickier.
Yeah. And in general, just trying to get at the mission behind this place and behind your life's work is not just because these elephants are cool,
No.
fun to be around, but you want the species to thrive.
So a big part of it is the virus that took our calf. We're able to research and learn about and come up with hopefully a vaccine because we have animals in our care that we can work together on finding that solution. That's one big part of it. But another big part of it is, well, let me ask you, how do you feel standing next to this elephant?
Just in awe.
Do you care maybe a little bit more than you would have if you hadn't?
For sure.
So whenever people come and visit us, a lot of times it's people seeing elephants for the first time. And that's kind of where the magic happens. That's where conservation is born. Is for my soon-to-be 4-year-old at home, I don't want elephants to be real in just books and on TV. For them to see them and appreciate them in person is remarkable. That's kind of one of the special parts about having elephants here in the backwoods of Pennsylvania.
What do you hope the worldwide elephant status is when your 4-year-old son is your age?
Just that there's hope for their future. She agrees.
Still ahead. Bison arrive at the Conservation Center. What's being done to keep the species thriving after its population plummeted? Welcome back to For the Record. Let's return now to the Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium's Conservation Center in Somerset County, PA, as we learn more about the bison that have arrived and the new opportunities for you if you'd like to visit. Is this a dream job for you?
It is. In many ways, it's a job that I didn't necessarily think I would arrive at.
Yeah.
It's something that, later in my career, I decided that I'd like to try my hand at something a little bit different, where I could bring value but learn. And here I am.
Visitors really weren't encouraged before, but now?
Correct.
What do you
We
wanna
are.
say?
So now we'll never be open like the zoo. So you can't just come to our gates, but we do offer opportunities to come on property through different programming, education programming, opportunities for encounters with the elephants. We also offer opportunities for youth groups to come and stay overnight in our campground.
But there's different kind of animals behind you, Aisha. What are we looking at here?
So we have plain bison behind us. The species is bison, bison, bison. So easy one to remember.
Bison, bison, bison.
Yeah.
3 bisons. Okay.
Bison, bison, bison. We're just really sure they're bison.
And these are what was almost to the brink of
Brink of extinction, yes. And they're still an highly endangered animal. Although we see herds on farms and places like that, it can send the message that they're actually, plentiful, but in fact that is not the case in the wild. So we were, as we looked at what species we wanted to get involved in, we also looked at what we have here. One of the things that we have and the privilege that we have here is space. And being able to work with larger animals that we want to keep wild, that we can raise here over the course of, either several months or multiple years, but are able to give them that natural setting where they can then, when they reintroduce into the wild, they know how to survive in the wild, because we've basically provided them a very similar situation. So that's the unique part of what we have here, is that we have space. A lot of space, and so we've been trying to focus on species that otherwise it's quite difficult to breed and conserve at a larger scale.
And it's a North American species that would have been here in Pennsylvania
Yes.
200 years ago?
Around 200 years ago.
Yeah.
There used to be, I think it was around 30 to 40 million bison, and currently the population's around 500,000, so that gives you a really good idea of, the fact that their numbers have plummeted so severely.
And so, like you said, they're here to try to breed, right? And you want to create more population, and then you want to reintroduce. The goal is not for them to come here and breed and have the babies stay here and live here forever.
Correct. No, so different from the elephants, in terms of, in every species we approach differently depending on what they need and how they're, what type of activities we need to do for their conservation. In this case, we do have places that we can release them that are their native lands. So the goal is to breed them, grow them to a point where they are ready to be on their own, and then introduce them back into their native habitats.
I saw some bison when I was in Yellowstone last year. Is that the kind of place where they would go back to?
So we're looking at native lands, because the bison is obviously a very important part of Native culture, Native American culture. So that's our primary focus right now, is to reintroduce on those types of lands. But yes, it would be that type of setting, a wild habitat.
What else do you really want people to know about? And this is just one of the things you can have as part of your encounter if you come visit in 2025 sometime.
Yeah, so we have a lot on offer. What's interesting is that everything's a little bit different. Where the elephants, you might have a more close-up experience with them. We don't allow anybody to touch them. You can't touch them no matter what. But we do. If you book an encounter, you can get a lot closer and get very up close with the keepers. We'll never do that with the bison, because that's not the goal. The goal is for them to remain wild. So although people can take a wagon tour and come through and they'll be able to see them, they won't be able to get up close and personal with them.
We feel pretty close right now. The
Yeah.
wagon tour would ride
We'll go right through here.
And you're going to get a really good view. Yeah, you're
Yes.
not. We don't want people feeding the bison.
Correct.
This is
That's
not,
the problem,
right?
right? Out in the
Right.
wild. I mean, this is one of the major problems, is that, that bison, the conflict of bison and tourism is a real issue. And it's usually the bison that, find themselves in those difficult situations. So we don't want to do anything that encourages them to approach humans.
It comes with a lot of precaution and safety and security. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So our facility is not set up really for the public. It's not like a zoo. A zoo is very much designed around having the public moving through freely. Our facility is not set up that way. So we really have to take some pretty significant precautions to ensure that everybody is safe. That's what we care about. We don't want anyone to get hurt. The people that are here and our animals, because that goes against our mission. So we want to make sure those experiences and interactions are positive.
Keep it here. There's more For the Record coming up right after this. Welcome back to For the Record. If you have a topic you'd like us to address, send us an email to news@WTAE.com. You can also re-watch this episode or any episode with the Very Local app on your smartphone, tablet, or smart TV. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week.